Welcome back to the HardForking channel, everybody, and welcome to my co-hosts, Leanne and Jesse. How are you, people?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Seven green dildos in a row. This show is primarily for newbies. We look at the charts, technical and fundamental analysis, let you know what we're doing in the space, what we're actually using on the daily. So how about we kick it off with you, Leanne?
Okay, so here we've got Bitcoin. As you know, I haven't been doing much lately. I've just been seeing what plays out. I actually identified a fractal over here the other day, and this was where we last had an Elon pump on some news, and then we came back down before heading upwards. So I was curious if that would play out here, and I've just put some arrows. Really, there's I know, Jesse, you love this, a 50-50 chance. So for me, we are right up at resistance. So I did take an entry down here where my indicator cross-signaled, but I actually am out of that entry at the moment. That was just a spot trade. And for me, we still have to break that 41.3, 41.4 zone.
It's just teasing us, isn't it? Teasing us.
Yes, that resistance is pretty strong there. So if we are seeing upward momentum, I mean, I'm anticipating a tiny pullback to the MA before heading to the 50 or 45-50 zones. But for me, it's still very plausible we could come straight back down here. I don't want that to be the case, but it's a very plausible one, which is why in the notes here I've put I'm 50-50. I've got HODL positions 50% still and cash 50% if we do have a breakdown. So either way I can take action on confirmation, and I'm just waiting for that confirmation.
Yep. I'm very much in the same boat. Looking at some numbers here, Bitcoin wallets have pretty much doubled in the last 4 months, up to over 200 million now. Huge investment coming into the space. We're going to obviously have a look at what's happening in gaming, an area we're all very involved in. But could we have a look at the ETH chart, because that's been on fire this week.
Okay, you're going to see a very similar scenario here. We did get that nice wave break, and I always talk about my charts in terms of water, whether we're surfing, diving, snorkeling. So we had a nice surf break. We broke out of the water, and I did say that we could get that upward momentum to 2.5 area. And again, it looks very similar to what I just showed you in Bitcoin. We had that W bottom, but I'm just waiting. But ETH does look really strong and nice, so that could also indicate maybe if Bitcoin consolidates, we might have some alts have a bit of action.
Well, speaking of action, we've obviously got EIP 1559 happening in a few days. I actually thought we would see all sorts of FUD around that, but we haven't, surprisingly, and ETH is on a move upwards, so it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out in the next week. While we're on the topic of Ethereum scaling, can we have a look at a L2 technology, MATIC?
So I left my notes up here from quite a while ago. We discussed what I thought it would do, and it did hit that resistance line, and it headed down to that 50-60 cent zone that I had anticipated. So the reason I left that there was just to show that it actually did play out under the waves as I suspected it would. And then we've got an entry signal here. So this was a 90 cent mark was an area for an entry, and we have resistance at around the $1.16 mark. So if it can cleanly break through there, we will have a momentum for the upside. So it's looking okay, and we have an entry signaled. We're not out of the water yet though, so I do not expect it just to fly straight up. We will have some waves along the way. I think you requested AMP. Did you want to look at that?
Yeah, what's the chart telling us?
So I had a quick look at that for you this morning. It's in a bullish posture, and it's flipped its resistance here. So again, if you're looking to re-enter, it might revisit down to the 6 cent marks, but it's in a bullish posture and it's up out of the water, so it does look nice.
I'll hodl my AMP then.
Yeah. And Hex, did you want to...
We did want to have a look at the Hex chart, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat on Hex. We've had Richard Hart on this channel before, one of the episodes that I enjoyed more than others. So yeah, let's have a look at the chart, then we'll have a bit of a Hex chat.
Okay, so I hadn't looked at this chart. I don't own any, but I know that it's a topic of discussion. So you can see it's been surfing beautifully above the waves here, and that's like a gorgeous uptrend. But it's just recently on my chart broken on the 343 minute. It's broken down through the waves. So for me now, it's on a downtrend. So it's not a time to enter, but it is a time, I would say, to manage your risk if you do have this, and work out a hodl position and a take profit position.
So quite happy with the performance of Hex. I mean, it's a polarizing project, putting it mildly. Jesse, you're a Hex holder. What's your understanding of what's going on, and what have you actually done?
When Richard Hart introduced this sacrifice thing, it was set at a certain date for 5 days that you'd be able to sacrifice so many different types of coins towards this, and towards this theory of, you're doing it for the greater good of free speech, and blockchains are free speech, and all this. Like you said, it's convoluted, interesting, whatever.
That is purely to avoid securities law.
Exactly.
That he's talking like that.
Pulsechain would be like a copy of the Ethereum network, and Pulse would be its gas token, and also a copy of Hex will sit on that chain, that blockchain, and other smart contracts would be able to be built on it. And Hex is something that was, I think, very smart. It's a hodl coin, right? It was something made for people to hold and gain. It would gain value, and so far it's done pretty well with that, I would say. Even so many cases of people cashing out hasn't destroyed it in the least. It's continuing to grow. Even as Sean has mentioned before, we got donated only a couple $100 worth, and it is up thousands and continuing to grow. So with Pulse, it's a separate project. It's not the same thing. It's just faster transactions and lower fees, and whatever. I don't know if that's an Ethereum killer or supposed to be working alongside it or what. Richard Hart, as much of a egomaniac as he may come across, he's also aware of it. But he tends to just be fully sure that everything he says is fact, and he does. Every time he tries to make a point, he refers to charts, he refers to numbers, he points at the stats and then says with a big "fuck you" if you don't understand it, you're just too stupid. That's kind of his way of working. There's a bit of that I respect. It does no skin off my back if I want to maybe throw a little money on his ideas. So yeah, I personally was lucky enough I was staking Hex, and my stake ended on my birthday, and which happened to be around the same day that the first days of this Pulse sacrifice happened. So I took $5,000 of my Hex out. I immediately sacrificed it. I also chose to sacrifice Hex over anything else like Ethereum or any of my other coins because this Hex is already, it was way much up as a profit. Some Hexican mentioned that the more you sacrifice Hex, the higher the price of Hex will be if tons of people keep, so I can't even wrap my head around that completely, but I thought, that makes sense.
In a nutshell, for me, when he first launched Hex, I didn't want to go anywhere near it. Jordan was trying to convince me, stick an ETH in this thing. I wish I did. I mean, we've done very, very well out of it, but we could have done even better. Obviously, we got some Hex when their community donated some to us for having them on him on the channel. I can't stand the content he's making now, flashing his watches and so forth.
Consider yourself a narcissist? No, I'm 100% realistic.
But I think that's very calculated. I think he understands any publicity is good publicity. He doesn't give a fuck whether people like him or not. Hex has done well. But my main thing with him and his projects is, I've had hundreds of other coins where I didn't have a clue who the founder was. You never really saw them putting their face on something. Say, this guy's out there on the daily. Talking about his project. So I can't knock that. Hex has gone extremely well for us. I haven't sacrificed any coins to the Pulse chain yet. Please put your comments below and let us know what you're doing. So moving on from Hex, what else have you both been up to? Leanne, I hear you've got more Axie scholars than I do now. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I haven't done much because they've had all the server issues in the last, nearly 2 weeks now, I think. But yeah, I've got a nice Axie team going, and it's really nice. It's lovely. I love it. I love interacting with my players, and I love seeing what it can do. And I'm very thankful to HardForking for pushing me to get into and explore that, because it's something I never would have done without that. You go, come on, you should do it. And I'm like, no, I'm a trader. Da, 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 da. So yeah, I'm really thrilled that I actually did do it. So thank you. So yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Leanne, I was having a chat with another Aussie this morning who is quite a very big player in the security token space in this market, and I was telling him about Axie and what our experience has been. For me, when you look at this whole premise of banking the unbanked, which has been a real mantra of Bitcoin and the crypto spaces from as long as I've been in it. Here we're actually seeing that, aren't we? Take somewhere like the Philippines where, and I'm sure it's the same in Indonesia, where only 25% of people actually have a bank account. But here we are on the daily, we're seeing, not only are we seeing the growth, the exponential growth in the user base of a blockchain project, but the unbanked have been banked here. One of our scholars sent us a message this morning saying he's just put a house.
Wow.
With the profits he's made from Axie. And the other thing I love about our community and what I'm seeing is they're also then learning all these other aspects of DeFi, of blockchain. So they're actually investing their earnings into other crypto based things. So for me, here it is. This is banking the unbanked. This is real use case of blockchain.
The fact that just today and yesterday, I paid a couple of different scholars their share of the SLP that they've earned. So the act of sending these people in the Philippines and Venezuela money, which for some of them is more than they would normally earn in months and months and months, being the guy to press send, even though I didn't do much, I provided them a vehicle, but they did even more work than I did. But just being part of that action of sending them the money and then me receiving a bit myself, that's a very nice feeling, especially in these especially in these times, these trying times that we're all in, where you get to feel like you're earning and you're helping and you're seeing systems work. I pray that this can last longer than it could possibly be stopped because of there's
there's 2 points there, isn't there, Jesse? I mean, let's have a quick discussion on how long we think Axie could last. We've actually got one of the founders of Axie coming on the channel. He's been on a number of times, but he'll be back here in the next week or two. What sort of math have you run on this, Leanne? How are you sort of managing your risk here? What future do you see for Axie specifically? But obviously the next part of this discussion is, for me, it's proof of concept. We're seeing all, just your time online being rewarded. Axie has shown how blockchain can keep a record of that and monetize it.
I'm confident it's got legs for the foreseeable future, but at the same time I'm treating it like a business and a trade, and I'm managing my risk on that. So what I'm doing, I'm actively taking out my risk capital. I've done my breeding program to a certain extent that I'd planned for, and now I'm in a period of time where I'm taking out my risk capital. Then I'll start some more breeding with some freed up SLP and AXS. I already bought all of my AXS for my breeding program anyway, but for me, I am treating it like a business. I'm taking out so that if it doesn't, for some reason, there are things we can't foresee that come in, like whether it's a bigger competition, like another game.
You're so humble, Leanne. I know that you've been you run a charity and you've been helping people. And now you've set them up with Axie teams.
He's
like, oh my God, I'm treating it as a business. I'm like, cold ice queen. Hell no, you're.
Well, if the viewers don't know, I do run a charity here, and it's been going for the whole time during the pandemic. And this I do treat as a business model that, as Jesse and we've all discussed, it feels really good because it almost feels like it incorporates all of those elements of giving, receiving, and it's a dynamic I've really never thought about before in a business, so I love it. It's win-win for everybody. When I say I'm treating it like a business, for my own capital investment, yes, I am. And I'm even saying that to my scholars, that you need to think about, if this game doesn't last, this may not last forever. So be really sensible with what you do with your earnings for now.
I tell you what I think sensible is really trying to understand the whole gaming space. I mean, Axie has sort of sparked that interest for so many people. I mean, we've been covering it on this channel for over a year now. But look, you can put on any crypto channel at the moment. It's all Axie, gaming. Has the gaming space sort of sparked your interest from an investment point of view?
Yes. I'm definitely looking. My eyes are open now. So whereas before they were very closed.
I think before all Axie and all that, my attitude was the same, but the only difference was, let's say a couple of years ago, I was just like, what new gaming tokens will be the new cool thing? Like, obviously we all know Engine from years back. Engine was like the primary, it was like the Bitcoin of gaming tokens in the beginning, and obviously Engine is still there. It's still working on projects and stuff like that. It's a little bit more old and maybe some might even argue outdated. But at the end of the day, now the difference is you don't have to just focus on what new gaming tokens can I invest in hopes that it'll blow up. But NFTs in a sense of in-game items, land, these types of things, that's something to invest in as well, because people are going to want land, and as it gets more scarce, just like in real life, your land will become more valuable. It's so weird to think that when I bought a condo like 6 years ago for this reason, and 6 years later I'd be buying a condo in a video game and probably make just as much money.
As opposed to a fluffy little beast that rolls around the screen.
Well, let's not throw them off the boat. They're important too.
Just very quickly, we obviously looked at blockchain cuties the other week. Yeah, we got a nice little donation from the blockchain cutie community. So we're also setting up our community with some teams. So make sure you get into our Discord, people. If you're interested in this one. But I mean, look at the APY on this thing. It's just under 70%. The price of the BCUG token has just skyrocketed since we got it a week or two ago.
That 70% you showed was just the staking. The LP, which I've also got into, the returns on that are already stacking up. But if anyone's interested, here's my cuties. This is my little cutie army. You got different. Yeah, there's so many cuties, and there's not. It's not like Axies where you get to do a big full game. The equivalent of going on a battle in Axies is this: send on an adventure, and based on his levels, you could choose the direction he goes, and boom, it's sent. And then whether he wins or loses or comes back with an item, that's for up to luck, I guess, in the statistics of him here and the items he's using.
Absolutely. So, Jesse, what other games, NFTs, what have you been up to? I hear you've been aping.
I aped into the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The question is, are they able to overcome the punks? I actually watched a really cool 45-minute kind of mini doc by The Defiant on these guys. And part of the allure of the Bored Apes is this sense of being in a club. this sense of being kind of VIP, if you will. And the difference with Bored Apes that you haven't seen as much in the past with these collectibles is that people buy something, they wait till the price goes up, they flip it, and they look for the next thing. Whereas being part of the Bored Apes community almost is like a flex, and it's kind of like look at me, and you see these people changing their Twitter pictures into apes. I just did it too, because why not follow the leader? I suddenly have all these other apes and artists friends now on Instagram that are just so into it. You could go to this little Bayou. The website is like this like VIP club with you don't really do anything. Then suddenly you get NFT drops in it, and then it gets the ecosystem going. And then there's all these other interesting aspects, like for instance, Loopify and some other companies are trying to make a feature-length film which combines Bored Apes and a few other NFT like collectibles, where if you own an ape, you have full commercial rights to that ape. So if they choose to use your ape, because there's only 10,000 total, right? If they choose to use their ape in this film, you now have a piece of this film. And it's just becoming a little bit more than a quick flip type of situation. And so the owners of apes are raising the floor consistently of the price of these apes. So it started at 0.8 ETH, and now the floor is like 6.5 or something.
Yeah, I
it's
had
going
a look
up
the other day.
Absolutely. And on that note, stoner cats. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, once again, you're talking about funding content here, something we're going to be looking at very, very closely in the coming weeks ourselves with our content. But yeah, the demand for stoner cats shot the price of using Ethereum through the roof. But this sort of news is just coming thick and fast now. The gaming world, the use of NFTs, funding content through the use of blockchain technology. I mean, how happy does this make us as content creators? We've spent so much time and money knocking on doors of the traditional routes, all those rent seekers, all those middlemen. Where this is the dawn of a new age here. And I guess the show that we're trying to put together here for you is to really demonstrate what we're actually doing. Yes, we're looking at charts, but we really want to demonstrate what we're using blockchain for on the daily. Speaking of great projects, I just want to flag another one that we've covered extensively on the channel, which is Nine Chronicles. That is not a token you can buy on exchanges yet, people. There is a hell of a lot of action coming up in the next month or two with that project, so I'd strongly encourage you jump into their Discord or into ours if you're interested in getting some of that token. I've been acquiring it. Just giving you a heads up. I think it might be a good move. Not financial advice, of course. Do your own research. But what I like about this game is it is truly decentralized. I think it's actually got that over something like Axie. Yes, it's got some teething problems because of its truly decentralized nature. It can be quite slow to load, but there's great opportunities to mine that token simply by running it on a PC at the moment. But go and check it out. I think it's if you're a gamer, it's a super interesting game. As an investor, I think it's a great opportunity. So go have a look at Nine Chronicles.
My Gala node is continuing to run every day in the background, pulling in almost 800 Gala coins a day, which now finally I'm starting to see a finish line to breaking even on the purchase of that node.
Within months.
Yeah, well, based on the looks of things, it could be within weeks for all we know. But when that time hits, every next day after that will be profit. And who knows, if Gala gets to even 50 cents, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, outside of gaming, have you two been up to anything else since our last show? Have your portfolios changed at all?
The only thing I've been watching like a hawk is Solana. Yeah, just super quick. So I had put this sun down here for anticipation of entries in late July, early August, which it's hit it perfectly, and it looks like a wave that I would be ready to enter. However, I haven't scaled in. I only have my hodl position, but I will scale in. I'm just giving BTC a little bit more time to see how that plays out. But I also noticed on Twitter a new platform called Lollapalooza using the Solana blockchain, and they've just sponsored.
It's a big music festival in the States.
Yeah, they just sponsored this festival. I think it was in Chicago.
Right.
But it's super interesting, and because they have, how do I stop this? Oh dear, sorry everybody. That because they've got lots of social exposure, that is why I'm interested in Solana. They've got a lot of big boys backing them, lots of social exposure. And I also noticed, I had a look at this, at Lollapalooza. I had a look at their Solana get NFTs from your favorite artists. So I started looking through it, and then I found one that I really liked. Even though I haven't taken any action on it, it was good just to, go through things and see what these NFTs are. This was one that I quite liked because I like the whole thing on Twitter with their sunglasses and what do you call these type of sunglasses?
80s as fuck.
I don't even know what you call them.
80s as fuck.
What do you call them?
I have no idea what they actually be called, but they're old school.
Yeah, they're totally old school. So anyway, this on that NFT platform, they've got all the different types of shades, a little bit like the apes, with different soundtracks to them. And so anyway, all that to say, I never would have looked at something like that before, but I sort of spent a little bit of time this morning going through that and go, oh, this is cool, this is fun. So all things to keep an eye on. Solana's a massive project, and the trend and the narrative on Twitter gains a lot of traction. So I'm interested in trading those sort of markets.
Let's throw TA completely out the window here and just go gut feeling. Jesse, next week, is the price of Bitcoin going to be higher or lower?
Gut feeling, 100% right off the bat, I'd say higher.
Okay. Leanne, you're going lower. But you're basing it on charts.
I would like a retest of 34.35 before it heads up again.
Notice what she said. I would like.
It's my wish. No, it's my feeling.
I'm not busy. Okay, there you go. Nice retrace.
My feeling is we'll get a little dip to... I haven't seen any Darth Maul wicks for a while. I really want to see some effery on the books.
I want.
I feel that we may get some Darth Maul.
We heard you the first few times.
It's terrible that I'm saying I even want volatility. That's awful.
This is my point. It's not about want. It's about gut.
Yes. My gut instinct is we will have some people scared out of their late longers, and we might get a bit of a liquidity sweep, and then before the next momentum. That's my feeling, is that we'll see some shakeout.
Yeah, well, as I started the show by saying we've had 7 daily green candles. If we get an 8th, man, that's super duper bullish. I kind of think we're possibly going to retest it. But I think the next sort of 12, 24 hours are pretty crucial, aren't they? If we break that 41.3, I think the whole market's off to the races. Even if it's just a wick, that'll set off a lot of buys there. So let's see. It's going to be an amazing week. But look, I mean, the sentiment to me is gone super duper bullish again. I think
Which kind of weirds me out a little bit as well. People just flip so quickly.
I'm not so, well, look, to me that's based off so many of these big macro factors. I mean, we've, all the big players here. I mean, for God's sake, we've got the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers taking Bitcoin positions. We thought the market might unwind after the grayscale situation. It hasn't. Open interest is through the roof. The amount of coins coming off exchanges is massive at the moment. Last 4 or 5 days has just been a huge amount.
We also have Senator Warren comparing it to drugs again. So.
Well, this is where, Janet Yellen and Warren, they're the only sort of road bumps now. We've had,
Is it
the
Warren or
whole
Yellen
kind
that
of...
compared it to drugs? I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
Warren compared it to drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Look,
There's
for
a
me
little
and
bit of
21
FUD
watching,
flying
it's
around.
all about what we're seeing with our own two eyes. We're seeing exponential growth in projects we're involved in. Blockchain's here to stay. I couldn't be more bullish. I think we'll see a little retest. I kind of hope so, actually, because I'm still in a short. I hate to admit that, but
I mean, we haven't seen any.
I want to get out of that short, and I'm not shorting the
Yeah.
market again for the rest of the year, that's for sure.
Well, just set your sell order, so that if we get a Dartmoor wick, we haven't had any for a while, and when we haven't seen any for a while, I start to feel like, okay, it's time for the market makers to start messing with us a little bit and make us unsure. So I'm really feeling Jesse, like we will see some of that.
Well, let's see if Leanne's feelings are correct next week. Exciting.
My feelings haven't had a very good track record lately.
Before we wrap up the show, how's life? I know it's very tough for everyone at the moment.
We've got our set. We're sort of coming out of our lockdown, so semi-lockdown. So I'm not completely out of it yet, but
They've set the army in your old country, Leanne.
I saw that Sydney. They called the army, and gee, with all those people locked in their homes. Amazing, huh? Riots.
Yeah. I left Sydney because it was a nanny state, and when I'm seeing the fines for not wearing masks and the fact that the military have been sent in to make sure everyone stays at home, I'm glad I don't live there anymore.
Yeah, I shook my head when I saw that. It's such extreme measures for what's happening. Jesse, how are you feeling about the world?
I'm feeling optimistic personally. And the good news about that is that's, I feel like, what everyone needs to be doing more is working on themselves. And because this whole idea of trying to fix the group, fixing other people, fixing the system is impossible if people aren't fixing themselves. So if my advice to everyone is start with yourself, then clearly that applies to me first. Mm-hmm. So I do feel better about myself. I am working on myself. So I feel good about that. So that's the best way I could look at it now.
I saw somebody say the other day, when I don't remember where it was on, but they basically said when you run out of good arguments and facts, you start attacking each other. And that is what I'm seeing a lot of. And to your point about working on yourself, I would like everybody just to stop telling everybody else what they need to be doing and look after your own backyard first.
Yep.
True. Try and make someone roar with laughter today, people.
Oh my gosh. I can get my device out.
Go on then.
That'll make me roar with something.
We can, in honor of your big
HardForking channel, people.
which
Dildos and all.
Which device would you like on the end? We've got
Do you have a double-sided?
no. It is not. Of
We
that
should have a
kind.
subscription bit for this type of action, surely.
This is pretty mean. This is for the spine. That's pretty
That
mean.
looks like that can tackle two different areas.
Yeah, see, I'm not in the States, I'm not allowed to have guns, but if somebody was to break into my house,
You
They
would make
could.
them come.
they could have that up against their throat or something.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, it's so good.
On
I
that
hope
note,
that makes people laugh.
That looks great.
Oh, you can do it. Sean, this is good for your shoulder. Like, ooh.
I'm seeing the surgeon on Monday to find out what's happening there.
Oh, You need some.
If you can't fix it, Leanne, I'm coming to you, and you can get that machine going on.
I think Maggie has an even bigger one than I do. I found out.
Hear that, Maggie?
Maggie, if you're watching, Maggie's got this giant like. She did it on me in Singapore once.
Maggie.
Oh, I bet she did.
Maggie. Excuse me?
She did it on you in Singapore.
She goes, I had a sore back. She's like, get on the floor. So, Maggie, if you're watching, because of you.
All right, everyone, before we spiral out of control here, Jesse, we don't have a video to your fantastic new track, Bitcoin Dominance, but taking us out this week. Here's another piece of magic from Mathematics. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thank you two so much for your time. We'll see you back here next week, everyone.
Later.
Bye now. Bitcoin Dominance!